So here's my poster presentation, in which I'll be talking about some ideas that are kind of stood out for me that are particularly interesting. Of course, those ideas that I mentioned on the previous slide, mind maps, concept maps, are by no means the only interesting things. There were a lot of exciting ideas that I was exposed to this semester. But Section 4, Technology Innovations for Inclusive Learning, kind of stood out for various reasons. In Chapter 19 in particular, Engagement, Representation, and Expression. Of course, those are the three big principles of UDL. In online mind mapping activities is probably the key word in that sentence there. Now, if we were to propose a second edition, completely different, perhaps, from the first edition, Volume 2 of the textbook, Universal Access Through Inclusive Instructional Design, we could have maybe another chapter dealing with mind maps and concept maps, and the two ideas are closely related. Now, the most important part of such a chapter would be the ideas underlying mind maps and concept maps, of course. And the ideas could be of, certainly we would want to include two kinds of ideas. I'm proposing that the beginning of the chapter could kind of lay out the basic definitions of what is a mind map, what is a concept map. That might be an idea that's already familiar to many students in this class, but it wasn't that familiar to me, so I would find that useful. And another thing we could include in the chapter could be to make sure to make the connection between UDL and mind maps, concept maps. Of course, Chapter 19, the present Chapter 19, does a great job with that. Toward the end of the chapter, the authors go into some detail in a very nice section where they connect UDL with the mind maps. But there may be a few more things that could be said about that. And an extra kind of an optional thing that could be included in this chapter. I won't dwell on this slide because I want to get to the most important thing, the kind of the philosophical ideas related to this topic. But a couple of things that could be included in the new chapter could be this bullet point here. You could have mind maps that were used in a class of students who are learning some sort of mathematics rather than the Chapter 19 that we have now in the textbook is dealing with a class in which the students are learning to be educators, teachers of math. And of course, that's very important too. And then this other idea is we could have a little section about how to make a mind map. Like there are various online apps, MindMaster, Mindomo, Poplet, for example, that you can use to make mind maps. But let me move ahead. The most important content in this new mind mapping, concept mapping chapter are the ideas. So let's return to those. The new chapter could answer these questions: what is a mind map? What is a concept map? What's the difference between a mind map and a concept map? And here's a definition from a Wikipedia article. A mind map is a diagram used to visually organize information. A mind map is hierarchical and shows relationships among pieces of the whole. It's often created around a single concept drawn as an image in the center. Now, I won't read every word on this page right now because I want to be sure to not make too long of a poster presentation. And this picture kind of says it all in any case. you see a couple of pictures of mind maps with a central idea in the middle, and the other ideas radiating out from that. Now, a concept map is, by this definition, concept map or conceptual diagram is a diagram that depicts relationships between concepts, of course. Typically represents ideas and information as boxes or circles. And in general, a concept map is more complex and more complicated than a mind map. What's the difference between a mind map and a concept map? Mind maps revolve around one main topic which branches out in nodes in a center-out hierarchical structure. And then the next paragraph, concept maps include cross connections between concepts that are described with action verbs such as contributes to, causes, requires, leads to. In general, I'll show you a picture here. This picture helps to make it clear the difference between mind maps and concept maps. And you can see that the concept maps, the ideas sort of double back on themselves or relate in all kinds of complicated ways with the other ideas. Now, how are mind maps and concept maps related to UDL, the Universal Design for Learning? This is an excerpt that I pulled out of the cast.org website, and I don't have too much to add to it. I think it's very well written, and I couldn't put it any better. I'd like to just read aloud what they say in case anyone had any doubts about whether mind maps and concept maps fit into the principles of UDL. These paragraphs that I've put on the slides here, I think, make it quite clear that there definitely is a connection, and a very useful one. So let me just read what it says here. This article was first published in the International Dyslexia Association, Perspectives on Language and Literacy, Winter 2010. A central tenet of the article is that printed text is disabling. Now, of course, that's a rather strong statement and a bit of a zinger. Well, not just let that float by. I'll just repeat that, then we can move ahead. A central tenet of the article is that printed text is disabling. Wow. It seemed counterintuitive to use printed text to make such a claim. Counterintuitive, or perhaps you could say hypocritical, I suppose. Anyway, thus, we decided to create a digital version of the article in an accessible format and apply the UDL principles of design to transform the static print article into an interactive learning one, a universally designed for learning article. Providing access to knowledge is the first step to teaching and learning. In this UDL version, learners may access content by reading or by listening to a text-to-speech TTS software read aloud. Learners may also download the NIMAS file set and create a Braille version, a Daisy Book version. Let me just move to the next slide just quickly, because these acronyms here, just to make sure they're clear to everybody, had to look them up. The first one mentioned was NIMAS, the National Instructional Materials Accessibility Standard, and Daisy Book refers to a digital accessible information system, a technical standard for digital audiobooks. A Daisy Book is an audiobook, to put it simply. But in any case, I'll go back and return to this paragraph here. Learners may also download the NIMAS file set and create a Braille version, a Daisy Book version, with human voice read aloud and synchronized text highlighting, or a large print version. When reading, learners may have different goals in mind. Having multiple ways to find and get to relevant information is essential. Unlike a paper concept map, a digital concept map can be transformed into a meaningful navigation tool. Now learners have the options to use the page navigation menu and move linearly through the article, or click on a key idea in the concept map and jump to that particular section of the article. The UDL version also provides content producers with more options for creative expression. In printed text, we rely solely on text description to explain new concepts such as NIMAS and AIM. In the UDL version, text description of NIMAS and AIM can be connected to an embedded video that weaves together text, audio, and visuals to demonstrate the multi-step process of converting an NIMAS file set into different AIM formats. This purposeful integration of text and media makes learning about NIMAS and AIM easy to follow and easier to understand. Not only does the UDL version improve access to text information and convey key concepts in modes that may be easier to understand, it does so in a more interactive, pleasing, and engaging way. For instance, as a carrier of authentic voices from the classroom, a video can be more compelling than text vignettes and retellings. A video that's titled Transforming the Lives of Students with Learning Disabilities, I'm not showing that here in the poster presentation, of course, shows how audio and visuals are more effective and efficient at transmitting emotion and engaging the audience than reading a transcript of the video. In printed text, we are limited to crafting words to describe the flexibility and richness of digital media. In the UDL version, we can embed a video to show it and invite people to experience for themselves. Well, I don't want my poster presentation to become too long. I think that really says it all, though. I think whoever wrote this article for the CAST people has expressed it very eloquently and made the connection between the UDL principles and concept maps or mind maps. And I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you.